spin it. There you go. Nice. Yeah.
Better?
Yeah, that's a little bit better.
Technical difficulties. What a surprise.
Here, I'll turn this.
Oh, yeah, that's
watch
helpful.
your own sound waves too, just so you know.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah, got back in swinging things at work, went to go to the range a few times, and then now we are here doing podcast stuff, which I'm excited to do. It's nice to, get away from work and hang out with my pal.
Couch, and it's nice. It's really, the couch is such an upgrade from an actual studio setup.
It is, dude.
I love it.
So just from firsthand experience, if you guys are watching one of your favorite podcasts and they're on a couch and you're like, that's ratchet, think again, because it is so comfy.
Very smart. Sorry, dude. I'm kind of low energy today.
Low energy?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know, low energy. I'm just kind of low mood. My mood's down.
Down mood.
Feeling a little sentimental. I just binged all the How to Train Your Dragon movies recently. They are good.
Yeah.
And my wife's never seen them, so we watched them together. But I don't know, man. They always make me feel kind of sentimental and sad a little bit.
Okay.
Nostalgic. Bittersweet, especially the end one. All the dragons have to leave, and it's so sad.
It's sad. It hits you right in the feelers, man.
And I don't know, maybe this is just the child inside of me, but it makes me wish dragons were, it makes me wish I had my own dragon.
So you could train it?
Yeah, so I could train it. And, it's kind of unfair I can't have my own dragon, I think, because...
That is unfair.
I think they're real. Dragons.
You think dragons are real?
Do you think they're real?
I can't answer that question. Because I don't have the facts, man.
Oh. Well. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but I believe dragons are real.
Dragons are real.
I do,
Yeah.
And it's so sad because I wish I could just ride them around like that Viking hiccup. And I think the government and people like the Vatican are covering up the fact that they exist and that, there really is dragons on Earth, and they're just being held in little government bases, and the fact that there's a hollow Earth that all the dragons live in is being covered up by the Vatican and world governments. But yeah, that's just me. Thoughts?
Well, I think it's possible. It's not like governments have been, super trusted in the past. So I think it'd be cool if dragons were real. I would definitely ride a dragon. Would you ride a dragon? You said
I would 100% ride a dragon. Is that crazy, though? Do I sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist?
A little bit.
Oh.
Yeah,
well.
But I'm excited to hear more about this Vatican conspiracy dragon thing locked in the hollow earth.
Well, I don't have anything about that. But speaking of conspiracy theories, put on your tinfoil hats and turn down InfoWars, because that's what today's episode is about. What a forced... That was a wonderful segue. I don't know what I was about to say. Forced. I don't know.
No, that was good.
No, that was good. That was a good segue.
I really thought we were about to talk about dragons for 2 hours.
Well, real quick, you might be asking yourself, why is a history podcast talking about conspiracy theories? Well, why on earth does National Geographic History Channel talk about or try to convince everyone that aliens built the pyramids and Bigfoot exist every night at 11 p.m.?
Well, dude,
because it's fun.
It is fun.
It's fun.
First and foremost, it's fun. But also, a conspiracy theory, it's like it has to gain enough traction, logical reason, and evidence to even become a conspiracy in the first place. It's like, how is it a conspiracy theory? Because there's things behind it that line up that say, hey, this might have happened. We can't prove it, but we have evidence that says it might have.
Exactly. So that also loosely relates it to history. So I'm using that as an excuse to talk about something near and dear to my heart.
We're using it as an excuse to play Alex Jones.
Yes. They're putting water and chemicals in the water that turn the freaking frogs gay. So yes, welcome to episode 29 of the World Canon podcast, Conspiracy Theories.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for man.
This is what we're going to try to do. What your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. I have a dream.
Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Who's
Now we're also not on the top floor anymore, too. So We have people living above us. I don't know if you've heard them running around since we've sat down, but I'm kind of hoping the mics don't pick it up because they, I think it's like 3 college guys, so they do make a little bit of noise running around.
They are rowdy.
Very rowdy.
Dude,
Very
the
rowdy.
view. We got to talk about the view.
Yeah, looking
Those
right at
mountains
the
there.
interstate.
That is, well, okay. Pretend the interstate's not there, and you're just looking right at the mountains. That's sick.
Oh yeah, it is honestly kind of nice. You got the interstate, you got a big cell tower, and then did you see the lottery billboard over to the other side?
That's a pretty sweet view.
And keep my eye on the Powerball.
You got Saul Goodman on the billboard over there.
I don't know. I'll be the first to know when it hits $1 billion. And I'll walk down to the Walgreens.
Daily tracker right outside.
But yeah, conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy theories.
Are you a fan of conspiracy theories?
I am a fan of conspiracy theories.
Yeah, we're both a couple right-wing nuts, aren't we?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I would say that's accurate.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, definitely. We're, I wouldn't say professionals, but I definitely have a bit of an interest in conspiracy theories because they're fun. And sometimes they turn out to be true because ever since Epstein's Island turned out to be true, I will literally believe anything until it's proven false.
That's the thing, man. It's like innocent until proven guilty, but it's like if there's stuff there, they might be guilty.
True until proven fake.
Exactly.
Literally anything.
Well, it's like you can't prove it happened, but you can't prove it didn't happen either.
Exactly. So it's true.
And that's what a conspiracy theory is.
And it's fun. And it's loosely related to history. So
It is, yeah.
we get to talk about it.
Because most of the time, too, conspiracy theories revolve around something.
Historical events.
Yes.
Speaking of which, this is a very topical episode because, just last week, we had a major update on one of the most historical events to create some of the most, historical conspiracy theories of all time. Mm-hmm. And you're probably wondering what that is.
Well, I know what.
And I'm trying to think of a funny joke to say, but I can't think of anything, so we'll just get to it. The assassination of JFK. And the CIA just released, a 60,000 page document, basically dancing around the fact that they did it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to read it. I just watched the
won't either.
Wendigoon video on it.
Yeah.
I'd take his word for it.
Watch a TikTok.
Yeah. A 6-second TikTok that
I'm an expert.
boils down a 60,000 page document and some 17-year-old kid.
Yeah. But I mean, it's good that they're doing that. I think the American people deserve to know the truth. The fact that it was ever classified in the first place is a big red flag. The fact that those documents have been sitting in a freaking filing cabinet.
Okay, so speaking of CIA documents, and we'll get to some CIA documents later too. Not the JFK ones. There's 60,000 pages of that. I was not going to sit through that. Yeah. I got some other stuff though that we'll get to in a minute. But how many of those released CIA documents? Because they have to, because it's part of the some sort of act. What's it called again? Public Knowledge Act, or
I know what you're talking about. I don't know the name.
Some intelligence agency act. So they have to declassify documents after so many years.
Right.
How much of not just the JFK documents, but any documents released by the CIA do you think are actually true? Or
not a lot of them, dude.
No,
No,
yeah,
not at
no,
all.
me
I mean,
neither.
it's maybe that's the movie watcher in me, but then at the same time, I think a lot of that is what's it called? It's got Adam Driver. It's all based on a true story. I think it's called The Report. I want to say.
That sounds familiar. I've never seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
It's really, really good, dude. And it's all based on real events. It was a CIA analyst that they brought in to work on some of the case files around the time after 9/11. We kind of waged war in the Middle East, right? And essentially, he uncovered a lot of very illegal and dirty torture tactics that we were doing because the way we had set up, we couldn't directly torture prisoners of war. You could interrogate, but you could not torture. So it was the CIA basically dancing around that and trying to find loopholes to where they could just full-blown torture people to get information and intelligence to go.
But see, I support that 100%. I'm kidding.
but it's one of those things where it's just something like that. They tried to cover all of it up. This guy's job was to go back and look through all these files, and he uncovered a lot of stuff, and a lot of people were going to get in trouble because of that. So it's
But what happened to him? Did he get whacked?
No, he's still alive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like Edward
you gotta
Snow.
watch the movie. The movie will explain it a lot better than I can.
What did Edward Snowden do?
So he worked for the NSA. He's still alive. He lives in Russia. Believe it or not, he's charged with high treason against the United States. But he around the time when he was at the NSA, he was uncovering the fact that the NSA was spying on people and illegally obtaining data with technology.
Oh, cool. Like Watergate.
Kind of. And like, for example, like the camera on the computer right now would be like recording our visual and our audio without us knowing.
Yeah, that's fine.
And the NSA is able to...
Hopefully they're at least
that.
enjoying it.
Yeah.
Follow us, please, NSA agents. That'd be
NSA
cool.
agents. But basically, he started telling the truth about that. A lot of people around him were like, don't leak this, like, get charged with treason. And he's like, no, I have to tell people the truth. So he released a lot of information that we were all being spied on by our own government. And then he had to move to Russia to not be put in prison for the rest of his life and or killed.
Is that where he is now?
Yes.
Russia?
He actually did a podcast with Rogan via Zoom.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
that's
dude.
insane.
Crazy, man. Yeah.
Dude, Rogan has the craziest guests ever.
He does. So it's like a theme with like conspiracy theories. It's like almost always involves like government overreach, and then they try and cover it up, and then the American people are like, none of this makes sense.
Speaking of government cover-ups, UFOs.
UFOs. Yeah.
What do you... Okay, so there's two classes of people who believe in like UFOs.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I'm going to say three. There's three classes.
Okay.
There's the classic UFO conspiracy nut fanatic who thinks they're aliens. And aliens exist, and the government and everyone up in higher powers are covering up the fact that aliens exist.
Mm-hmm.
Two is UFOs are actually like top secret, highly advanced military or other organizations testing like super advanced flight equipment, like stuff that you couldn't even imagine, like crazy jet propulsion systems, anti-gravity technology, flying with frequencies, stuff like that, whatever, magnetic engines, stuff like that.
Right.
So like skunk work sort of super like Iron Man sort of level stuff.
Yeah.
Three, and this is really interesting to me because I never considered this until recently. I started listening to another podcast called Ninjas Are Butterflies.
Oh, that's a cool name.
It's so cool. They're all like all conspiracy theories, and they're super funny. They're really cool. But I learned about this new class of UFO believers. I don't know if it's new, but one I've never considered before, where people think UFOs have a spiritual element, and they're like demons or angels flying
One is
around.
interesting.
Yeah, like because there's a whole like parts in the Old Testament where like the fallen angels came down and like taught people how to do all sorts of stuff,
Right.
and like a lot of people speculate that they were actually pretty technologically advanced in some places in the world, and maybe like something these fallen angels had was like some flying technology. So there's that.
There's that.
And
I think
thought
there's
that
a fourth camp too.
What's that?
The fourth camp is of people who are like, that's all hogwash. Aliens aren't real. Nothing flies in the sky like that. All of that is people like editing videos or just maybe seeing a satellite or like a plane.
Oh yeah,
I think that's another big camp of people too.
Yeah, that's true too. It's all psyops.
It's all psyops. Yeah, I would classify myself in the second one for sure, but kind of loosely. Not like, oh, that's 100% like advanced government technology, but that is definitely a possibility.
Definitely.
In my personal opinion.
I'm kind of half advanced technology that government's military testing, then half just psyops. Because I would not put it past the CIA to like do stuff like that, and like all these documents that they release because they're supposed to, quote unquote. Like how much of it is just fake? Like, just tell them whatever. All these people will believe this stuff.
And it's like we'll never truly know, right? It's
So
kind
like
of a tough thing.
80 years down the road, somebody's like, yeah, this was all just an experiment to see how much people would believe in aliens.
Literally could be that, dude.
I'm not even, yeah, exactly.
Me personally, I fall into the camp where I do not believe there is another intelligent species other than humans. I don't believe there's like planets, galaxies away with people that are like humans but different, and that, to me, that's all Hollywood.
Don't tell that to a Mormon.
Oh, dude, I've tried. None of that was like ever a thing until like Hollywood. Like, there's no, at least from what I know, people thousands of years ago talking about aliens. Maybe like something to do with that, like something in the sky or like intelligent spiritual stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like the actual like alien idea of like having a spaceship that can fly, like that's not something they could even process thousands of years ago. because planes didn't exist, right? So it's like,
Well, stop right there, buddy. I got something
no.
to show you. This is I have something to contrive your statement. I'm not even sure if that's the right word.
drive.
I don't know. Somebody fact check me on that. But so there are actually, since we're on the topic of UFOs, the conspiracies about UFOs go back centuries, millennia even.
Oh wow, I should
And
stop
there
talking a
have
while ago.
actually been UFO sightings back thousands of years, and I have 3 very interesting ones I thought you would like to hear about. So first one is I'll just read this. Archaeologists discovered a stele, which is like I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. It's Stele, but it's like a monument basically with like writing inscriptions.
Okay.
Just like a stone monument, built around 1450 BC by Egyptian pharaoh Thutmose III in a temple in the ancient city of Napata in the old kingdom of Kush on the Nile River. So this ancient Egyptians.
Yeah.
It describes a star, quote unquote, a star falling from the south towards an enemy army and killing many of them. So, this particular one is kind of controversial because there's like some people who describe this purely as metaphorical, like this star was actually Thutmose himself falling towards his enemy. But the way it's described by whoever wrote this almost sounds like it was an actual event that they witnessed. Like they were looking at the army and this star, this big burning thing of whatever, came from the south out of the sky and fell on the enemy army that they were facing up against.
Asteroid?
Maybe
Interesting.
maybe some alien helping them out.
Could be.
Because I mean, who built the pyramids? Maybe it was their little buddies that helped them build the pyramids, come to help them out. I don't know.
Because see, it's one of those things where, like, I think there's a massive difference. I think this is where people get confused. I think there's a massive difference between UFOs and aliens, right? UFO meaning, like, something in the sky, you can't tell what it is. And then alien meaning, like, E.T. You know, like...
E.T.
So personally, me, I don't believe there are aliens. Now, something in the sky, that's different.
But
that
how
could be-
crazy is that, though? Like,
that is crazy.
if you were just you're like some Egyptian farmer, whatever.
Yeah.
Like you got told, okay, hey, we got to go fight these guys. So you got to leave your farm. You're just out in the middle of this desert. You got, I don't know, some stick with a pointy. I don't think they even had steel or iron yet. Like this would have been brass.
Yeah.
And you got like probably a wicker shield. And you're just standing there. And then all of a sudden, everybody's looking up and this giant ball is falling from the sky and it crushes everyone in front of you. Like, how do you not immediately think that that's... I don't even know.
Did they ever find the giant ball? Is there any, like, archaeological evidence of the ball itself?
Probably not.
Okay.
This was a while ago.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I don't know. Nowhere really describes like where the battlefield is, I don't think either. So there is that.
Somewhere over in Africa, yeah.
Somewhere.
Somewhere by the Nile.
Somewhere, maybe somewhere along the Nile. But I thought that was interesting. There's another one. This one I thought was really, really cool. Have you ever heard of the Nuremberg lights or the Nuremberg sky phenomenon?
I have not.
Okay, so in 1561, there's a newspaper from Nuremberg, Germany, that contains like pictures of the sky above the town, like an artist depiction. Obviously, they didn't have cameras, but it shows like the sun in the center, and of course, the sun has a face for some reason because this is 1500s, and you can't paint a picture of the sun without giving it a face. Yeah. Every single painting from back then, it's so weird.
Happy sun.
Everybody was Bob Ross. Oh, happy little sun there. But it shows like the sun in the center, and then the picture has all these like colorful circles and like crisscross patterns around the sun, and then right below the sun is this giant black arrow, and the paper says under this illustration, it reads, in the morning of April 14th, 1561, at daybreak between 4 and 5 a.m., a dreadful apparition occurred on the sun, and then this was seen in Nuremberg in the city before the gates in the country by many men and women. At first there appeared in the middle of the sun 2 blood-red circular arcs, just like the moon in its last quarter, and in the sun above and below on both sides the color was blood. There stood a round ball of partly dull, partly black ferrous color. Likewise there stood on both sides, and as a torus about the sun, such blood-red ones and other balls in a large number, about 3 and 4 in a square, also some alone. And he just like goes on and on and on. But then at the end he says, and after all this there was something like a black spear, very long and thick sided. The shaft pointed to the east, and the point pointed west. Whatever such signs mean, God alone knows. So, I mean, this was like an actual newspaper reporting this, which we know the media is very reliable.
They are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a whole town could attest for this, supposedly.
But it was enough to create a conspiracy.
I mean, I'm convinced at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a lot of witnesses like that have firsthand said they saw it.
I mean, the newspaper says they saw it, so I'll take their word. I trust the Germans, dude.
Yeah, you gotta trust the Germans.
They'll never do anything wrong. They'll never wrong you.
We trusted the Germans like 80 years ago.
And it paid off.
It did. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I feel like a lot of weird, wacky stuff can happen in the sky.
But how do you explain something like that? Like,
I don't know.
Is that just mass hysteria?
What if they all took LSD at the same time?
Maybe somebody dosed the well.
Yeah.
The town's well. The LSD. And they all tripped out. But they all had the exact same trip.
See, yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Exact same hallucination.
Yeah.
They all
So
saw.
then maybe something weird did happen.
Yeah, maybe it was aliens.
Maybe it was
What?
aliens.
Spaceships.
Spaceships. I definitely think...
Demons. Demons and angels sat on the...
I definitely do think that UFOs are a thing, for sure. I've watched, this is going to sound so like Joe Brogan of me, but I've watched so many of his podcasts where he's had people on that have, like the one guy, don't know his name, that worked at Area 51, and then people in the military that said they had firsthand seen spaceships or some sort of flying object that was not on their radar. They had no way to detect it, which is insane because the technology America has for like jets, they can detect everything within a very long radius. And these objects being very close to them flying and being able to maneuver in ways that nothing that we have right now deployed in our military can do. Like stop on a dime, change direction, and immediately accelerate to the speed they were going when they stopped. Stuff like that.
Oh, have you seen the new fighter jet that came out? The F-47?
So sick.
Dude, I'm not even kidding. Straight up looks like fighter jets from Halo.
It does.
I want to become a pilot so bad now.
Air Force.
Yeah, dude.
We both have already declared for the Air Force.
Yeah, we are shipping out next week, actually. Yeah. Dude, they're sick. They look awesome.
They're nuts.
And they cost like what? $300 million per.
Insane.
It's insane. I will happily pay taxes for that.
Can't buy houses. We got pretty cool jets.
We can't fly them. They might get used to bomb us at some point. They're pretty sick.
They are sick, dude.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. If UFOs are a real thing, and it's not all just psyops that government or CIA or whatever is pulling on all of us, I definitely say it's like top secret
for sure
testing stuff. Which brings me to our third and final, unless you have any cool UFO stories. I thought this one was really interesting because this is like the most realistic one that I could find.
Okay.
Which really anything could be realistic until proven false.
It's true.
This is one from like the late 1800s, like 1890s. So, and this is kind of goes back to like top secret technology experience, top secret like flight technology experiments from who knows, aeronautic companies or the military. But like 1896 to 1897, all these newspapers in the Midwest were reporting seeing these like people sending in reports of seeing these giant airships flying around in the sky, sometimes at night, sometimes like during the day, late evening, and they had lights on them, like different colored lights, and they were kind of slow, but they were all like cigar shaped. So when I hear something like that, I think like a blimp airship, like early versions of a blimp, because like the full-on blimps came out like pretty shortly after this. So I mean, the timeline would kind of coordinate pretty well, but they describe these like large, sort of like rock or cigar shaped things floating in the sky with lights, flying very quietly and very slowly. Like they would just slowly drift through the sky,
Very blimpy.
and then like turn around very slowly and go back. And all these people were sending in these reports. They had no idea what they are. Newspapers didn't know what they are.
Yeah.
They were just reporting on it. But I hear something like that, and I think like, oh, definitely like some army base in the Midwest testing out blimps.
Could be.
And
It makes the most sense.
I hear that, I think like, oh, these UFO sightings, it's just like some top secret section of the Air Force or Navy or whatever,
Yeah.
testing out some new drone or whatever, and not even the other guys in the Air Force know about it. Like they fly across this, like, what the heck is this?
Yes.
And it's them, it's their own guys. It's
Yeah.
just they don't have the clearance to know about it.
I think that's
I
the
don't
most
know.
logical, dude.
I think so too.
I think that's the most
honestly.
logical. Because, I mean, think about... That's a really good example because, like you said, blimps weren't even technically really a thing at the time,
No.
right? So it could have easily been that. And then it could be the same thing, like, as history's progressed with, like, American military at least, because they do Air Force the best, for sure.
Yeah, we will work our fingers to the bone and go above and beyond on like break the boundaries of science just to find new and better ways to kill people.
To get the oil.
To get that black gold.
Yeah, dude. Because, I mean, think about, maybe, like, in the 1900s, they could have been doing that with, like, F-22s.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then people would be like, oh,
I mean, the Nazis had fighter jets.
Yeah,
They did.
yeah.
Like, still to this day are kind of like... Have you seen... Okay, dude. No, this is why I'm, like, so convinced that UFOs have to be, like, military technology being tested.
Okay.
So, I went to the Seattle Air Museum
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. And in there, they have a... This makes me feel so dumb when I can't remember the names of things. But, like, it's a class of Blackbird.
Okay.
Those, like, high-altitude stealth jets,
Yep.
stealth spy jets. But it has... There were only 2 ever built. The only surviving one is in the... Supposedly. The only surviving one is in the Seattle Museum. And it's a Blackbird manned fighter jet. And on top of it, the size... Because these Blackbird jets are huge, right? On top of it, the size of, like, a smaller jet is a unmanned drone jet. These are from the 1960s. 1960s.
What the heck?
I just need
bro?
everyone to think about that for a second, because that is a very long time ago.
Yeah.
This high altitude jet that can fly at like Mach 2 or whatever
Yeah.
has an unmanned jet on top that can be controlled from the ground. And they're meant to be spy planes for spying on like the Soviet Union. And this guy, basically what would happen, the idea was this guy, the pilot, would fly at high altitude towards the border of Soviet airspace and then launch this drone and then turn around and leave. So only the drone would fly over Soviet airspace and they get pictures and recordings and all that sort of stuff. Turns out it wasn't actually that cool because the problem was the jet flew so quick that when they tried to launch the drone, it just crashed into the jet and blew it up. So they only tested it one time and that pilot died. But
Gosh, dude.
and then they put the other one in the Seattle Museum.
That's wild, though. Just the fact that they were even onto something like that
Exactly.
in the 60s is crazy, dude.
So UFOs, 100%, just like some sort of CIA testing prototype, some sort of CIA.
And I don't know if anyone
prototype.
listening has seen these Blackbirds. They are nuts.
They're
the fact
huge.
that existed 60 plus years ago is beyond my capacity of thinking. Like,
Exactly.
they
That's
fly
insane.
so fast and so high, and nothing can detect them. And even to this day,
They're still
those are super
pretty
advanced.
cool.
No countries really have. I'm sure China and Russia have their toys too, but I mean,
They're
dude,
knockoffs.
yeah, they got their freaking Kroger brand Blackbirds.
Yeah, it really paid off bringing all those Nazi scientists over after World War II. It really did. We got some cool toys from that.
Enslave them to make toys for oil search.
We will build you jets if you do not convict us of war crimes. We will take you to the moon. We'll beat the Russians there. Yeah, Eisenhower heard that and was like, heck yeah, let's go. No, I don't know. I thought that was cool.
That's
but
cool.
yeah, I wouldn't put it past the CIA. The CIA is always the scapegoat for talking about conspiracy theories. You can just say, oh, it's the CIA doing it. And you're probably right.
Probably right.
You probably are right. CIA or some other intelligence agency, because there's a lot of them. But yeah, I definitely feel like UFOs are just CIA prototypes getting flown around, tested out.
Yeah. Dude, so before you transition, so have I ever talked to you at all about my uncle?
No.
Okay, so...
The one that smells like cigarettes?
No.
Oh.
It's a good guess, though.
Okay.
I'm not gonna, like, do any names of, like, what he does, where he does it. But basically, my whole life growing up, like, he went into the
Sorry,
Coast
is
Guard.
he like your friend that works for the agency?
So he was in the Coast Guard.
Okay.
Okay, and then when he got out, he started doing work for the government, we'll say. And whenever him and my mom would communicate, he would never ever be able to tell her like what exactly he did.
Oh, that's
or
weird.
where he worked.
That's kind of cool.
And then, at least to my knowledge, the way my mom would explain it, and he like would give her little like, I do something along these lines, but never like anything direct. And then when I went to go see my family this past week, I figured out where he works and what he does, and it's the coolest thing in the world. I'm not going to say what it is. I'll tell you after off air here.
Oh, yeah,
But
I got to
dude,
know. That'd be
it's so
sick.
cool. It's so cool. He runs a team of a bunch of people. It is a I'll say this, it's a 3-letter agency.
Oh, there's a lot of those.
And it's cool, dude. I looked up like what they do. Of course, the internet gives you like a great value website with no information whatsoever, but
Very vague, gray answer.
yeah. And there's a lot of agencies, dude. It's crazy. I don't think people realize that there's way more than just the
I
CIA.
love making fun of these 3-letter agencies because it's just so easy. But at the same time, I would love to work for one of them just to like
Know the things.
But I feel like I do that. I'd get to it, and it turns out to just actually be super lame. Like it's super
Yeah,
boring.
it could, yeah.
It's like because all the stories are just like mystery that they let people talk about because it
Right.
shrouds them in more mystery and like makes
Right.
them seem bigger and scarier than they are, but really they're just like kind of guessing at everything. And
Pretty
it's just a
much.
bunch of people like writing up papers and like
Yeah.
we think they're doing this.
Yeah.
We got a couple pictures from a satellite. That's kind of it. That's all we're going on.
Yeah.
I feel like it would end up being that.
It could be that, or it could end up being like, if you ever
Like
talk
super
at all,
advanced.
we will kill you.
Like you go up to a full Men in Black base and there's like actual aliens walking around. Was that a Sangheili? Aliens from Halo are real.
See Master Chief walk out of a base.
Is that a Spartan? Yeah, so the games are actually based on real events. We have no idea how Bungie got that information, but we let them get away with it because they're fun.
Just turned real life into a video game.
Yeah.
Let you guys obsess about it.
It kind of like covers it up better. But speaking of like government cover-ups,
Yeah.
that was a pretty good transition. I like that. We're
sweet,
getting
dude.
better at
We
these
are
transitions,
improving.
dude. Government testing on their own people, because that's 100% a thing.
Wait.
Go ahead.
Are you about to talk about MK Ultra?
No, but I do want to do an MK Ultra episode. I thought about talking about that here.
It's like too much
But
at once, though.
That would be a
its
full
own
episode.
dedicated
We'll do a
thing.
full
Okay.
episode on
I just
MK
when you
Ultra.
said government testing on people, that's immediately
Because
like,
you know a lot about MK Ultra, and I kind of want to. I really want to let you just have fun with that. I want to give you the reins on that one. But
okay, what were you going to transition to? What are you going to say?
so have you ever heard of something called Operation Sea Spray?
No.
Okay, so this was in 90s, I think.
Okay.
Maybe a little earlier. I want to say San Francisco. I'm pretty sure it was in San Francisco. But the Navy was testing out biological warfare. And they got this strain of bacteria that was, quote unquote, not harmful to the human anatomy. It just kind of will get into your system and it'll pass, but it doesn't do anything, supposedly. So they came up with this hypothesis. Ooh, bumped my mic. Hypothesis to, if they could, like just a method to attack coastal towns using bacteria. And what they did was they kind of just, I'm not exactly sure all the technical details, but they kind of just dumped it in the ocean next to San Francisco, pretty much, all this bacteria. And they had people in all the hospitals and like clinics and around the area, and they were like, just give us reports of people coming in with this strain of bacteria in their system, because we want to see how many people it infects. So like the idea was it would just come in on the sea, anybody swimming would get it, and it would also get like evaporated up into the air. And whenever it rains or whenever people just get hit with sea mist, so the idea was it would infect them. So they could use like a harmful bacteria or virus or something and infect a whole coastal town this way.
Yep.
Turns out it was actually worked really well. And a lot of people got infected with it. And for the most part, it didn't do anything. But suddenly a bunch of people started getting really sick, and some people even died. And this came out pretty quickly, actually. Like, hey, the Navy was literally releasing bacteria on one of their own cities. And now all these people are getting sick and dying. And the Navy, it straight up went to court, and the Navy representatives were like, no, we use a non-harmful bacteria, but like some of these people that died, the doctors were able to correlate their sickness that ended up killing them was inflamed by the bacteria that the Navy released into.
So it was like an accelerator for something they already had.
Yes, basically,
Dude.
yeah. So,
Dude. And is this like, okay, just for context, because I know nothing about what you're talking about, is this like historically documented facts? Or is
Yes.
This, okay, so this happened.
oh no, actually, hold on, sorry. I think this was way longer ago than the 90s. Hold on, let me look this up real
But
quick.
this like did happen. This is like not,
This is a full-on thing. This is something that the Navy got in big trouble for.
Okay.
Operation Sea Spray. Oh yeah, no, it was in the 50s.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is kind of like back during the Wild West of military testing before we started making laws and stuff.
Regulating things.
Yeah. So this is kind of like one of the things that really like brought the hammer down on the Navy, at least.
Yeah.
But I brought that up because I wanted to talk about a bigger, because this isn't really conspiracy theory. This was an actual thing that full on happened.
Right.
But I brought that up because I wanted to see if you thought maybe, because I want to see if maybe you thought it correlates to something known as the Oakville blobs.
What is that?
Have you ever heard of the Oakville
I
blobs?
have not heard of the Oakville blobs.
Okay, so the Oakville blobs, this is what was in the 1990s.
That's a funny word.
I know, right?
Blobs.
So in the town of Oakville, Washington, in August 1994, the people in this little town of Oakville noticed it started raining, as per usual, but it rained off and on for about 2 weeks. And what they noticed about this rain is that it wasn't just water. A lot of it was actually these little tiny like gel pellets, like little blobs of gel falling from the sky. And they became known as the Oakville blobs. And for like a couple weeks, it rained off and on. And whenever it rained, these blobs would fall out of the sky. And they kind of smear everywhere and they'd get everywhere. And they were like pretty translucent. But after this rainfall, a lot of these people started getting really sick. Like they started feeling nauseous. I think they had like symptoms of vertigo. They just started kind of like, I don't know, it was like flu-like symptoms, sort of. And some people saved these blobs in little plastic bags. It was like really weird that blobs were falling out of the sky and people were getting sick. So they put two and two together, and it's like maybe these have something to do with each other. So they sent them into these labs, and these guys in these labs tested these blobs, and they came back with these results showing that the blobs were human, like made of human tissues, and mainly white blood cells.
What?
So yeah, these blobs were like mainly plasma and white blood cells, just globbed together, falling from the sky. And I hear something like that, I'm like, oh, that's crazy. That's just a spooky story. But then I read something like Operation Sea Spray, and I'm like, is this another military test against their own populace, seeing if this biological weapon has any sort of effect? Just maybe like a watered down version of the biological weapon.
Probably.
Little blobs made of white blood cells and plasma just thrown up into the sky and rained down on a little town.
Yeah,
making people sick.
What if that's how most viruses happen? Or at least some of them. What if that's how, like, COVID and, like, the swine flu...
The spandemic.
The spamdemic, yep, the China virus. What if that's how that stuff happens? What if it's not?
It's just a test. Because not that many people died from COVID.
But, like...
It wasn't that... I mean, some people died. I'll give that. But it wasn't that bad. But everyone made it out to be really bad. And all these like government officials and media were really pushing for people to just put the mask on and do what you're told and take this vaccine.
Right.
It's like, what if it really was all just an experiment to see how people would react?
Yeah.
But then also some people died because it was an actual virus, and like,
yeah.
But it's basically influenza.
Yeah. It primarily affected people older too.
Mm-hmm.
The young generation wasn't really.
We had a cull the herd.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. What if that's how that happens? Because
yeah, what if COVID was an Operation Sea Spray but on a global scale?
And it's so scary because it always happens with like one guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like one guy gets it, and then like comes to the United States, and then now we're like full shutdown, pandemic. Everything's hard to get. The entire economy shifts, like, of the world, not just in one country.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy, dude.
So
How
scuffed.
does one guy just think, oh, I just got COVID. Now
Eat
the
some
whole
bat
world-
soup.
Yeah, dude, it's insane.
I love going to Wuhan to get my bat soup.
It's insane.
I love going on my annual trip to Wuhan to eat bat soup.
Wasn't that, like, the initial, like, conspiraccy?
Yeah, it was from
like,
bat
some
soup
guy
or
ate a
something.
bat.
Yeah.
And now we're all gonna die.
That's supposedly how AIDS started. Some guy...
It's insane.
Well, he didn't eat a monkey. He did something else to a monkey.
Dude, what
but
if it's just a correlation? Okay, this is going to be a conspiracy that may or may not already exist, or it just lives in my brain rent free. But what if,
Heck yeah.
like, what's it called? I don't know. Let's just say the powers that be, Illuminati, right? Bad people that run the world. If that's a thing, if people believe in that, I don't know. What if it's them
We're totally doing an episode about secret societies, but go ahead.
combined
Carry
with Big Pharma, combined with like CIA and like world
You
leaders?
gotta always throw them in there.
And they all have money invested into like BlackRock, Vanguard, and then like Big Pharma. And they're like, what if we could create something that like, because these people are super evil, right? Who cares how many people die? Let's create something where these people need to come to the business we've invested into in order to live, or at least that's what they're going to tell you. So then
Pfizer.
You create this.
SC Johnson.
You
Yep.
create, dude, this virus, and then now people are forced to go get a shot, and they make a boatload of money doing
I feel
it.
like you and RFK would get along really well.
We'd probably get along pretty well.
Oh, this Alex guy is really, really cool.
It's not a conspiracy.
They're putting fluoride in the water.
Dogs are gay.
Oh, it burns. You ever see that guy on Instagram?
Yes,
He does a really good RFK
It's so
impression.
funny.
This is my impression of RFK washing his hands. Oh, it's the fluoride. It burns.
Oh.
It burns.
I don't know. I think that's where my brain goes. And I could be wrong. This is just conspiracy. This is just...
I don't know, but I thought that was really cool because I thought of that one on my own. I was just like, well, because the Oakville blobs, they were tried. I mean, so many people tried to prove it to be a hoax, and a lot of people agree it kind of is a hoax, and I kind of partially agree too. But like, I read something about Operation Sea Spray, which is a given historical fact, the real thing that happened.
Yeah.
And then I hear about the Oakville blobs and then COVID, and I'm like, there's maybe something here.
Yeah.
Maybe it's maybe definitely some sort of correlation.
Sense,
it's real.
It makes sense.
I wouldn't put it past the government to test things on their own people. Do it all the time.
Yeah.
Watergate,
Yeah.
Operation Sea Spray.
Well, then it's like
COVID.
businesses. I've noticed, like with what I'm doing for work, we can like vet businesses we're calling. So you can look at like how many employees they have, like all their locations, how many countries they're in, and most importantly, how much revenue they're bringing in per year. Almost always, it's big healthcare companies that are worth their enterprise level. I mean, they're worth bajillions of dollars. Like I called on this one place the other day that was worth like 80 billion, and they're a healthcare company that no one's heard of. Like,
Wow.
If I told you the name, you'd be like, "What's that?
What's it called?"
Never heard of it. I don't remember.
You don't want to say it?
No.
Oh.
Well, I just don't remember. But they're
Wow,
also,
Alex is not answering my calls anymore after we did the conspiracy theory
like,
episode.
like the NSA's listening.
What
so I gotta be
happened to
careful. No, but it's like always big healthcare. So I could see how.
Oh, he drowned himself after shooting himself in the back of the head twice.
Dude. But I could see how like something like sea spray correlates with so much else. Like it's an endless loop of like it could go anywhere, dude.
You know, I'm really glad that you take care of your health and that you have good mental health and you have a good relationship with your fiance. And I'm glad that you are very responsible with your firearms and that you don't keep ropes in the house and that you always wear your seatbelt and that you always you drive responsibly. And I'm glad you don't have any sort of substance abuse. And
I
you're
only
not
have,
on
like,
any
2
sort
speeding,
of.
No, I got like 8 speeding tickets, but that's all I got. All right,
crap.
That's all I got.
You're not on You're not on any sort of heavy medication.
No, stone cold sober, man.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
You take care of yourself and you're a good guy and you have a good.
Yeah, and I've never had a single suicidal thought in my entire life.
No,
Okay.
never, ever.
Yep.
No.
Sober, prudent human being. All right.
Yeah, a good, well-rounded individual.
Yep. Chris just thought he should throw that in there
Yeah, I just wanted
for no
to
reason at all. Yeah.
give some praise to my buddy
Yeah.
because he deserves it. Me too. By the way.
Yeah, Chris as well, guys. if you
Me as
didn't know.
well. Me as well.
Yeah,
very
Chris
much
probably
so.
more than I.
But yeah, I mentioned earlier that we had some CIA documents to get into.
Hey.
And this is kind of one of the reasons I really wanted to do this episode, because this is probably my all-time favorite conspiracy theory realm. And we have one more after this that I'm also very excited to talk about, but we'll get into this first. Have you, Alex, and folks out there listening, have you ever heard of something called the Stargate Project?
The name.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone who's watched Stranger Things has probably heard it too. Now, the Stargate Project lasted from about 1977 to 1987, and it was a series by the CIA on psychic and psychotronic experiments. Let me give you a little bit of preliminary information as to what that means.
Yeah.
So, man, I butcher this every time I try to say it. Psychotronics is a method of using psychic powers to. Have you ever heard of remote viewing?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what remote viewing is. The movie Men Who Stare at Goats, I think is what it's called. There's like a funny movie on it. Is basically, oh yeah, you can totally hear that car
that's
driving by.
loud,
That picked
yeah.
up for sure.
It's like a Hellcat or something.
They're trying to drown us out from telling the truth. No, so it was this idea that someone with psychic abilities could view a place or an object literally on the other side of the world or nearby in another room or something through their mind. And Operation Stargate was, like I just said, a series of experiments on this where the CIA brought in these individuals who just did well on these tests showing that they had strong psychic abilities. And the results were like across the board, 50% to 80% accurate. Like these people could actually like supposedly like full on legit observe people or objects far away in the next room over, on the other side of the world, whatever. And before this, the CIA did this other thing called Project Grill Flame, where in September, this was like the preliminary project before they started Stargate, or it was kind of like halfway through. They had a psychic locate a missing naval aircraft because like this plane crashed and they couldn't find it. So they brought in this psychic, this dude, and they're like, okay, we need you to locate this aircraft. And they described the aircraft. I think they told him the pilot's name. They said what it was. They gave him like the general region of the world where like they lost communication with him. And this guy pinned down this crash jet's location within 15 miles, and they were able to find this crash jet.
No way.
I know, dude. And this is like where because this is all from actual CIA documents released, like the declassified, and this is like where I think like, okay, how much of this is true, and then how much of it is like just the CIA messing with us?
Yeah, because what if they want us to just
believe in this stuff?
They want people to start an entire podcast to talk about these things and
but
not
like,
realize what's actually going on.
Here's the thing, though, because you and I were Christians, right? We have spiritual beliefs and we believe in stuff in the Bible. In the Bible, there are psychics. There's people who can talk to the dead. There's people who can talk to demons and people who can talk to angels. There's people who can they can kind of predict the future and quote unquote remote view.
Yeah.
And then, but God was like, hey, don't do that because you open yourself up to all sorts of bad stuff by doing that.
Yeah,
so like, part of me is like, well, maybe they are doing this, and by doing so, they're opening themselves up to all sorts of bad stuff, demons, and then like, how much of it might actually be true, and they are actually tapping into this power that you're not supposed to tap into as humans.
Could be, dude.
I know, like that's the scary part, because like
I think there is a more forbidden fruit than just the apple.
Oh yeah,
I think that there's for sure. And regardless of anyone's like spiritual beliefs are, I think there is stuff on this earth that we can access that we're not supposed to at all. And it sounds cool, and you see movies about stuff like this, but then like in all reality, it opens up a door to demons.
But yeah, I think there has to be like some sort of merit to that, because if it's true, 50 to 80% accuracy, these people can actually remote view things.
Yeah.
I don't know about like read people's minds, but like find an object on the other side of the world with their minds and picture it in their heads and then like write down where it is. But this is an excerpt from, I think, the same document that I found for this, and it's like a CIA document. This is what some guy typed out, but this is like the CIA's definition of what remote viewing is.
Okay.
This is like their description of it, and it says, remote viewing is a highly controlled and formally established unique intelligence collection capability which has the following characteristics. It is passive to the extent of our knowledge. Collection by remote viewing is totally passive, that is to say, it cannot be detected when used. So you hear something like that on top of everything else we talked about, and they're like, I don't know, I feel like it's definitely got to hold some merit. Like, definitely maybe some people actually can do this sort of stuff.
Right.
And
do we know who the people were who they tested this?
There's some names given, but a lot of it's like top secret. Like, I do have one here, I think, that has some names. Oh no, never mind.
Yeah.
No names.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just I don't know. I feel like it has to be at least a little bit real. Cuz like, you know, the CIA, it's all about intelligence. Their whole thing is intelligence.
Yeah.
And if they could find some way to spy on people without
weaponize,
exactly, without like having to bug them or have like some sort of electronic background or flying a jet over their airspace or whatever,
way to be detected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then of course they would try to do that, even if it sounds like fantasy.
Bring in all the wackos to test.
Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah, dude. But that brings me to another thing. Very similar, because this is way more recently. Because you hear something like Project Stargate, it's all the way back in the 80s. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Project Sunstreak was during the 90s to early 2000s, and it was basically the exact same thing. And this one is the really big kicker, because speaking of like the spiritual realm and spiritual things, this one I thought was really interesting, and I don't really even know how to like talk about it. I'm just gonna read it.
Okay.
All right, does that work? I'll just read this document that I found. This is from CIA.gov. All right. This is an actual like declassified document released on a government website. Okay. I'll start to finish. I'll read through it because I don't want to give anything away, and I don't know. It's a lot. I don't really know how to explain it. But so, number one, mission. This is like a debriefing document, basically from a mission. Okay. Mission. Access and describe the target identified by coordinates 781410/110121. Viewer tasking. See mission statement. Comments. Training target number 0209 is the Ark of the Covenant. Dude, I know. So this.
And when did Halo come out?
I know, right? Dude, so this guy that they're testing on, I don't know, I just imagine like a dark room. They sit him at a table, and all they give him are these coordinates. So first of all, they know where the Ark of Covenant is, and they just give him these coordinates. They don't describe anything to him. They just give him these coordinates.
Yeah.
And he says, all right, view these coordinates, remote view these coordinates, and describe to us what you see. This is what the guy describes. Target is a container. This container has another container inside of it. The target is fashioned of wood, gold, and silver. The target is similar in shape to, it's just parentheses AOL, a coffin, and is decorated with seraphim. And he attached a sketch to it that just kind of looks like a little angel bowing. This target is located somewhere in the Middle East, as the language spoken by individuals present seem to be Arabic. Visuals of surrounding buildings indicate the area were clothed in virtually all white. Oh, sorry, hold on. Surrounding buildings indicate the presence of a mosque, domes, ? Individuals in the area were clothed in virtually all white, had black hair and dark eyes. One figure I honed in on wore a mustache. So like one dude's face that he's specifically, I don't know, focused on for some reason. The target is hidden underground, dark and wet, were all aspects of the location of the target. Were all aspects of the location of the target. The purpose of the target is to bring people together. It has something to do with ceremony, memory, homage, the resurrection. There's a little keyword there added at the end. There is an aspect of spirituality, information, lessons, and historical knowledge far beyond what we know now. The target is protected by entities and can only be opened by those who are authorized to do so. This container cannot be opened until the time is deemed correct. Spooky. Once it is time to open the container, the mechanics of the lock system will be found to be fairly simple. Individuals opening the container by prying it or striking it are destroyed by the container's protectors through the use of a power unknown to us.
What?
Huh? What?
So what do you gather from all this? Or is there more?
There's more, but that's the only page I pulled from it.
Okay.
Everything else after that was just like sketches that the guy drew, some notes that he took, and stuff like that. But that's like the actual typed out bit. But dude, that one part, the target is protected by entities. This container will not / cannot be opened until the time is deemed correct.
So what do you conclude from what you just read?
I think this dude saw the Ark of the Covenant, and the CIA knows exactly where it is. That's maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
Because the Ark of the Covenant definitely is still around. I don't think it was destroyed. I think it's going to be in Jerusalem during the whole end times Armageddon. Maybe it already is. You know, there's that replica that one guy made. But he never gave his name because he didn't want to be known for it.
Right.
So maybe that's the one. Maybe that's it, and they're just calling it a replica. Or maybe it is an actual replica, and the other one's just buried underground somewhere in Zion or Jerusalem or whatever.
CIA had those coordinates, man.
The CIA had those coordinates.
Then so many more questions arise. It's like, did the CIA know what they were?
Did they watch Indiana Jones?
Did they know what they were like talking about?
I think so, dude.
Or what was there, and they're like, let's talk to Demon Guy and ask him what he thinks
Okay,
or
well,
whatever.
First of all, like that CIA having coordinates for the Ark of the Covenant just makes me think of like, why is every powerful organization or powerful individual obsessed with archaeology and the occult or spiritual things or items of power, quote unquote, like i.e. Hitler? Like that's what all those Indiana Jones movies are about, are the Nazis being obsessed with these like archaeological finds and items of power because they were obsessed with these things. And they weren't dumb. These are the guys that built rockets and fighter jets before anyone else did.
Yeah.
So why were they obsessed with this sort of stuff? And that just like leads you to think like maybe there's more to it than, you know, we go around thinking about day to day as a very modernized people, because we got our Xboxes and our Netflix, and so who cares? Who the heck cares about this stuff? Like how much of it is actually real? And then if it is real, how much of it is like really evil and you shouldn't have anything to do with it?
Don't fight against flesh and blood. I don't know.
Because like there's the Ark of the Covenant. That's one whole side of things. That's about as good as you can get when it comes to like a thing. But then like how much of those like, I don't know, spellbound skulls and tomes or like occult books are actual like demonic rituals and things? Like, I don't know, man. The more you get into it, the more you're like, maybe there's definitely something real here.
Rabbit hole goes deeper.
It does. It really does. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Already, this episode is so much more fun than... I would dare say this has been more fun than talking about cannibalism.
I think you're right.
It honestly is. Yeah. We should just do conspiracy theories from now on.
All right, guys. Conspiracy Theory Podcast. All over history.
No more. This is all theoretical history.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I think the CIA knows where the Ark of Covenant is, or at least they did back then.
Yeah.
Now it might have been moved.
Could have moved. CIA probably knows a lot of things they shouldn't know.
Yeah, they do, and that's why I want to work for them. But they would never hire me.
Are you hiring?
They would listen to this podcast one time and be like, yeah, no. They'd read my Instagram group chats and our texts and stuff and be like,
snitch.
Yeah, no, I would. I probably would.
Yeah. Dude.
Unless there really was some greater good, you know, and they really did turn out to be good guys, at least for the most part.
They're not good guys.
No.
I'm sure that some people that work there are great.
It is a really big organization, though.
Yeah, dude.
There's got to be some good guys in there.
Yeah, but it's like, why is the center of every conspiracy theory?
You guys. Why is it you guys?
It's always them, dude. It's always them.
But yeah, that's kind of spooky.
That's really spooky, man. I'd love to know more about that article. What went into it?
Yeah.
What led them to bring that guy in?
I'll put a link in the episode.
Dude, what led them to?
If I can remember to.
How did they
Yeah.
get those
What the
coordinates?
heck, dude?
And like, was the guy given any information other than the coordinates?
Do they just have like a warehouse, like from Indiana Jones, somewhere in the middle of the Nevada desert, full of stuff like that?
Maybe.
Like the Ark of the Covenant now is just literally in a wooden crate somewhere in Nevada. Straight up. The Indiana Jones movies, they're based off of real events. They just hit it as a fictional, fun movie.
Yeah.
That's my conspiracy theory.
What if some of those things are real and they just give us Hollywood to make us think that they're fake?
What president was it that said Hollywood is the greatest propaganda machine?
Was it Reagan?
Might have been Reagan.
I don't know.
It was one of them.
Dude, what if...
I think it was one of the older ones.
Dude, okay, I got my own little conspiracy. It's definitely not right, but it's in my brain. So what if but what if a lot of movies that are fictional are actually real? and they want us to look at those movies and go, "Oh yeah, that's
It's all
just
Hollywood
fiction.
propaganda.
It's Hollywood that would never happen. That's not real." And they feed us these based on real events, true story movies to make us think that's what actually happened. But in reality, Indiana Jones is real.
Yeah, dude. Even the really bad ones with the crystal skulls at
Yes.
the end. Those ones are garbage. Yeah, that's, I don't know. I think there's some merit to that for sure. But after that little spooky bit, I got one more very fun, exciting conspiracy theory that I just learned about yesterday. And I was super excited to tell you about because it's kind of a fun one. But before we do that, you want to take a little break?
He's so bad.
Me too, dude.
Right?
Okay, I feel so much better.
Break.
We needed to take a break bad.
Go potty.
Yeah. I'm starting to get like pains like right in my like lower stomach.
Bladder pain.
Oh yeah, that was bad. I was about to go in the sink. Well, we have one bathroom now, and I felt like being a gracious host, so Alex went first, and I regretted that instantly.
I figured too. I put two and two together when I walked out, and you were like, right when the door opened, you were like walking in.
Yeah, I was like, okay, cool, my turn. You're like, well, it's a really nice big bathroom. I'm like, yeah, you shut the door. Speaking of pee, you know what makes me really have to pee? Mountain Dew.
Really?
Yeah, it's really good. That's Mountain Dew last night. You know what's really interesting about Mountain Dew? You
So
too?
did I.
Crazy.
And I like never drink it.
Speaking-
On the way home yesterday, I bought Diet Baja Blast and just a regular Diet.
You're going to love this. I went to a Halo LAN party last night. Yeah, on Xbox. We couldn't get one Xbox to work, so we had to just use the one Xbox, and we just did like 4-player split screen, but it was still really fun.
Dude, that's the best.
So, of course, there was pizza and Mountain Dew. Oh. And I had Mountain Dew zero sugar and a bottle of Diet Coke.
Oh, nice. Chris has been naughty.
I've been a bad boy.
Drunk on caffeine.
That was a fun time. But yes, anyway, speaking of Mountain Dew, there is a crazy conspiracy about Mountain Dew flavors that I just learned about yesterday, just in time to add it to this episode. And I am this is insane.
Oh, is this what you're going to talk about?
Yes.
No way.
So, have you ever heard of this?
No, and I just drank Mountain Dew yesterday, and I haven't had Mountain Dew in months.
Oh, you and I were on the same wavelength. We both said Mountain
We
Dew.
were remote viewing. Okay.
Each other having yes. Say, hey, hire us. We'll remote view for you.
Drink Mountain Dew.
Yeah, we both drink Mountain Dew at the same time and didn't even know about it. For the first time in a while, too.
Dude, I literally never drink it. But occasionally I'm like, I don't want like a Celsius or an energy drink. But I also don't want like a Diet Coke. I want something
Mountain
fruity.
Dew.
So I give you some Dew.
Anyway, yeah.
Anyway,
we'll get to it. So, Mountain Dew flavors are tied to major events. Have you ever heard of this?
no.
Okay.
Can't say I have.
This is insane. So let me explain. So there's this idea going around that Mountain Dew flavors, anytime Mountain Dew, or I guess Pepsi, because Pepsi owns Mountain Dew,
right,
as a company, puts heavy focus, like heavy marketing focus on a flavor, whether that's they're releasing new flavor or they're doing something with a flavor, like bringing it to a public market. Like, you know how some flavors are like a restaurant exclusive?
Right.
Like Baja Blast
Right.
used to only be Taco Bell, but now they sell it in 12 packs in stores.
Yeah.
Anytime they do that and they start to market it, that flavor, like the name of that flavor, will correlate with some major event within a short time of them making that announcement.
What?
Let me show you. Okay. Code Red. When
Yeah.
they released the flavor Code Red.
Yeah.
2001. A few months later, 9/11. Okay, coincidence. One time is just a coincidence.
One time.
The same month that Pitch Black was released in October of 2004. Two things. Osama bin Laden finally admitted to orchestrating 9/11, and Fidel Castro announces that any purchases made in Cuba with the US dollar will no longer be allowed. But sometimes I forget that Fidel Castro and Osama bin Laden were around at the same time.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not it though. That's only two things.
Two
all right?
things, all right.
Still coincidence.
Coincidence.
Pitch Black was literally the same month, but still coincidence. Number 3, Baja Blast. All right. Literally, like we said earlier, was a Taco Bell exclusive. The second they started selling them in stores and marketing that they were selling 12 packs in stores, 3 surfers were brutally murdered in Baja, California.
No,
It sparked this major investigation, and their bodies were found in a well or something, like really crazy and dark. Okay, that's 3 times. All right,
Just
now we're
only
getting
3
somewhere.
times.
Okay, 3 things. Now we're really getting somewhere. Maui Burst. Apparently a really popular flavor. I've never had it. It used to it was like a 7-Eleven kind of convenience store exclusive. You could only buy it in like big cans or bottles and just a single serving in like convenience stores. They start selling it in 12 packs, marketing, hey, we're selling this in 12 packs now. Yay, everybody's happy because, first of all, Mountain Dew has like an occult following. Like there's a Mountain Dew cult that loves Mountain Dew and they like follow the flavors and everything.
Yeah.
They follow the way that they design their bottles and cans. Okay, like they're crazy. The second, well, not really the second, but shortly after they start marketing that they're selling it in 12 packs, it's 2023. Do you remember what happened in 2023?
Hawaii caught on fire.
Maui, Hawaii, the island of Maui caught on fire. A couple months shortly after, they started selling Maui Burst in 12 packs and marketing that.
Any more?
There's a few more, but I figured that we would be pressed for time because we're already at like an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But, dude, now they're releasing a flavor called Purple Lightning, I think, or something like that. So everybody's like, what could happen? What does purple mean? What does lightning mean? What is there anywhere on earth that's called purple? It's like who like, is there someone famous that correlates with the color purple or with lightning or something? Like what could happen from this?
See, that's coincidence turned conspiracy.
I know, right? Well,
We just-
I don't know, dude. This is coming from Pepsi. This is the company that have done some crazy things for marketing. Like
Got a lot of money.
I mean, they were this at one point in time, they were the 6th biggest naval power in the world. I'm not kidding. That's a real thing. That's a real thing. They bought like several submarines, cruiser, frigate, and something else, a destroyer from the Soviet Union for an advertisement, just to like put like Pepsi flags on this navy and then record it from a helicopter sailing across the ocean. Basically straight to a scrapyard because they immediately scrapped everything. But
Yeah.
I feel like if I were the CEO of Pepsi at the time, I definitely would have kept like at least one submarine or something from that because that's so cool.
Sick,
But yeah, no, the 6th biggest naval power at one point in time. And also, they owned a fighter jet. They owned a Harrier fighter jet, you know, the ones that can take off straight up and down. Mm-hmm. And there's this whole like big thing too that Netflix made a documentary about it, but they it was like while they were doing like one of those like points rewards things that companies do, and in the ad they said, because it was targeted more towards kids, in the ad they said like if you can get 700,000 points, which was equivalent to like, or not 700,000, it was I think it was like 70,000 points, which was equivalent to about $700,000 worth of Pepsi bottles, then you could win this Pepsi Harrier jet. And it was like a CGI animation of a Harrier jet with like all decked out in like Pepsi colors and stuff, and had the Pepsi logo on it. And this dude,
Of course.
decided to take it for real. And he convinced people to invest in it, and he got $700,000. He got all the necessary Pepsi points, and then he sent in the money with the Pepsi points to Pepsi Company, and they were like, "Are you retarded? No, this was not true." And it turned into a whole court case. It went from court in Florida, it went all the way to New York. Like it was a full-on court case, and eventually they were like, "Yeah, no, Pepsi's fine. This was obviously a joke."
Dude.
And the dude didn't get his jet, sadly. But
This Pepsi jet? That'd be so cool.
you know, Pepsi's a crazy company. We should do an episode about Pepsi, maybe.
Pepsi.
But yeah, I don't know. That's all my conspiracy theories for the day. That Ark of the Covenant CIA one is insane.
That one
It's-
twisted the mind a little bit.
that gave me goosebumps the first time I heard about it.
That one was poking around in the brain a little more than I'm comfortable with.
Because like, what if it is true, dude? Because if it's true, that means several things, several big things. Psychics are real. People can remote view with their mind. Maybe that means they're demon possessed or something. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
And the Ark of the Covenant is around, and the CIA knows where it is. But,
All of which are too much for the mind to comprehend.
yeah.
All
So
of which are like, I mean, that's insane. Remote viewing.
we should try it.
We did it yesterday with Mountain Dew.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without even meaning to. But this was fun. This was fun, dude.
Yeah.
I have a lot of fun with talking about conspiracy theories. We should definitely do this again sometime.
We should do like a conspiracy episode number 2 at some point.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
can both come with like 3 or 4 stories each.
Oh yeah, that sounds
Dive deep
awesome.
into
Heck
it,
yeah.
yeah.
Get into some more.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this, let us know, because Alex and I definitely had a lot of fun with this.
Yeah,
it was a nice little break from cannibalism and actual history.
So much cannibalism, dude. We don't target cannibalism, it just ends up happening.
It just comes to us.
Yeah.
It's like a single girl with a dirty novel. Doesn't mean to.
Doesn't mean
She
to,
just-
but there's some stuff
It
in
just
there.
looks like a fun book to read, but lo and behold, those last few chapters are a little spicy.
It's literally my fiance.
Yep.
She's got, I got this book, it's had great reviews, and then it's spicy.
Is it called Fourth Wing?
I don't know, I'll ask her.
Oh, dang.
She's
Okay,
got
that's a
books.
big one going around right now.
Okay.
Anyways, if you enjoyed this, please do let us know, because we would love to do another conspiracy episode. This was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to research too. I didn't have to research anything too deeply, just enough to like have fun with it. But anyway, it's a good one.
Thanks for listening. More conspiracies to come, most definitely.
Absolutely. Check out our socials. Remember, we have an email if you want to email any episode ideas, or you just have a question you'd like us to read it on the show.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're wanting us to advertise, that'd be really cool. Send in fake advertisements for us to read, so it sounds like we have
At
advertisements.
least like a fake company.
Yeah, that'd be really fun. That'd actually be really funny if some people want to send in something fake.
Yeah.
Make it so that I don't have to bleep anything out, but
Yes.
that would be really cool.
And if there's any business owners listening to this
Who
that
would
want
like a
some
sponsor?
promotion to our audience of like, what, 14? 20?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
It's
Get
growing
some
every day now that we're
local
consistently
business,
making episodes.
Some online business, yep.
Check out Alex's music. Follow the podcast socials. I think that's the whole list.
Yeah.
Alex, you got
Check all
anything
the
to say?
box. I think we're good to go.
Remote view with us on the next episode.
Drink Mountain Dew and remote view.
What does purple lightning mean?
I guess we'll find out pretty soon.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye.
Guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
There is no constitutional issue here. The command of the Constitution is plain.
And the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
Mr. Gorbachev,